My jaw's literally on the floor right now. I am staring at my screen, and my brain is basically a buffering wheel of pure, unadulterated shock. I know we have been through the absolute ringer with this show lately, but nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, could have prepared me for the massive bombshell that just dropped on our. Victor and Nikki Newman are officially giving their marriage. Yes, you heard me correctly. After the literal hellscape they have been dragging each other through for the past year, they are deciding to wipe the slate clean and try again. I am oscillating between pure hype and total disbelief over this massive pivot and low-key need to trauma dump this entire experience onto the squad who actually gets the besties. We need to hold a literal intervention right now. I am hitting record in my bedroom at 3 a.m. My eyes are entirely bloodshot from rewatching this latest drop on a continuous loop, and if I don't vent this right now, I am going to spontaneously combust. We all know that Nicter is the blueprint. They are the standard for daytime television couples. But the sheer audacity of these writers to put us through the most grueling, emotionally devastating separation arc only to have them reconcile in this specific way, I am literally shaking. This isn't just a regular soap opera couple getting back together. This is the Newman empire shifting on its very axis. And I am not here for a civil debate about whether this is healthy or toxic. I am here to spill the piping hot tea, stand my problematic faves, and absolutely roast the plot holes that are making my blood boil. Let's talk about the recent trials, because we cannot just gloss over the absolute trauma these two have inflicted on each other and themselves. Nikki has been fighting for her literal life. The entire Aunt Jordan saga, the kidnapping, the horrifying forced vodka IVs that shattered her hard-won sobriety, that was some of the darkest, most twisted psychological warfare we have ever seen. Nikki was pushed to the absolute brink, her sobriety shattered into a million pieces, and she had to claw her way back from the darkest depths of despair. She was broken, vulnerable, and completely traumatized. And where was Victor during all of this? Operating on his own chaotic frequency, playing 4D chess with his children, faking cognitive decline, and treating his family like pawns on a corporate chessboard. Then we have to look at the sheer disconnect between them during that era. Victor was so hyper-fixated on testing Nick, Victoria, and Adam that he low-key neglected the massive emotional crisis happening right inside the Newman. Nikki needed a partner, a rock, a safe harbor, but Victor was too busy being the great Victor Newman, locking people in cellars and orchestrating elaborate corporate takeovers. It felt like they were living in two completely different shows. Nikki was in a gritty psychological survival thriller, and Victor was in a corporate espionage mafia. The wedge driven between them wasn't just a crack, it was a literal canyon that seemed entirely impossible. I was sitting here screaming at my TV, begging Victor to just look at his wife and realize she was drowning. Yet, despite all of that undeniable toxicity and the miles of emotional distance, there is this inescapable magnetic pull between them that defies all logic. When Victor finally realized the magnitude of what Nikki had endured, when the walls of his corporate machinations crumbled and he saw his wife, his true equal suffering, something shifted. The dynamic. But we have to ask ourselves, is this reunion based on actual healing, or is it just a trauma bond wrapped in a billion-dollar bow? I am low-key terrified that they are just sweeping the massive gaping wounds under the very expensive Persian rug in the ranch living room. I am entirely here for it. Actually, no, wait, I am terrified because they are going to crash and burn if they don't. Honestly, this reminds me of the time back in the day when they were constantly at each other's throats over Diane or Ashley or literally anyone else who breathed in Victor's direction. Remember the epic 1984 wedding? The sheer opulence of it all? Or the time Nikki was literally on her deathbed and Victor married her in the hospital? We have been riding this emotional roller coaster for literal decades. They have divorced, married other people, sabotaged each other's companies, and literally gone to war, only to end up right back in each other's arms. It is the most exhausting, exhilarating cycle in television. I remember watching those classic clips and thinking, there is no way they can ever come back from this. And then, bam, they are kissing by the fireplace while a jazz saxophone plays in the background. It is camp, it is cinema, it is everything. Wait, I'm literally yapping. Let's get back to the actual tea. The exact moment they decided to give it another chance, the atmosphere in that room was thick enough to cut with a literal knife. Victor, with that deep, iconic, rumbling voice, looking at Nikki like she is the only woman on the entire planet. And Nikki, looking flawless as always because Melody Thomas Scott refuses to age, projecting this complex mix of profound exhaustion and undeniable hope. When he told her that they needed to face the future together, that they are the unstoppable force of Genoa City, I felt my soul leave my physical body. It was a masterclass. They do not just act, they embody these characters down to their cellular level. Mainly, I am obsessed with the aesthetic of this reconciliation. It wasn't some flashy, over-the-top public declaration at the athletic club. It was quiet. It was intimate. It was two titans of industry, battered and bruised by the world and by each other, deciding that the world is simply too dangerous. They are retreating into their fortress, pulling up the drawbridge, and deciding that it is Nick. And honestly, I am completely eating it up. No cap, it is the most comforting thing on my screen right now, even if my logical brain is screaming at me that this is a terrible idea that will end in absolute. But we need to talk about the rest of the family because I am literally screaming just thinking about it. How are Victoria and Nick going to react to it? They have been the ones picking up the pieces of Nikki's shattered psyche while Victor was off playing God with Victoria is going to have an absolute end. Nick is going to do that thing where he crosses his arms, sighs heavily, and lectures Victor about treating their mother right while Victor just glares at him. And Adam? Oh, Adam is going to be sitting in the corner, nursing a scotch, plotting how to use this new dynamic to his advantage while secretly yearning for a fraction of the family dynamics are going to be in absolute shambles, and I cannot wait to watch it all burn to the ground. Totally, the ripple effects of this reunion are going to crash through Genoa City like a massive tidal wave. Jack Abbott is probably going to sense a disturbance in the force from the Abbott Mansion living room. Whenever Victor and Nikki are a united front, Newman Enterprises becomes an impenetrable fortress. The corporate landscape is about to get so incredibly messy, and I am entirely here for the ruthless power couple era to. We need Nikki sitting at that CEO desk, or at least co-piloting the empire, while Victor glares at anyone who dares to question. Give me the power suit. Give me the icy glares. Give me the absolute domination of the business. Hot take, but I am actually ascending at the thought of them renewing their vows again. I know it is cliche, and I know we have seen it a dozen times, but I literally do not. I want the massive party at the Colonnade Room or the top of the tower. I want the dramatic speeches. I want someone to burst through the doors and object, only for Victor to have his security team literally throw them out. If we are doing this, we need to do it with maximum soap opera extravagance. No half measure. We need the full, unadulterated fantasy of a Newman wedding with all the budget blown on floral arrangements and security. Is it just me, or did they completely fumble the bag on this one specific aspect? The pacing has been giving me actual physical whiplash. 1 minute they are barely speaking, separated by an ocean of resentment and trauma, and the next minute they are holding hands and talking about their eternal love. I feel like we missed a crucial beat. We needed a scene where they really truly hashed out the ugly stuff. We needed Nikki to scream at Victor for his emotional absence. We needed Victor to actually apologize, like a real genuine apology, not just a, I love you, my baby deflection. The writers just hit fast forward on the healing process, and it low-key feels incredibly. And honestly, I am still spiraling over the plot hole. How does Nikki just forgive the fact that Victor prioritized his bizarre tests on his adult children over her recovery? How does Victor just move past the fact that Nikki was leaning on Jack Abbott for support during her darkest hours? The Jack and Nikki friendship always sends Victor into a literal tailspin, and the fact that they just glossed over it to get to this reunion is wild. The selective amnesia in Genoa City is a recognized medical condition at this point. It is absolutely maddening, but I guess that is exactly why we keep tuning in every single day. We love the pain. We love the chaos. If we dig even deeper into the psychology of it all, you have to look at Victor's childhood trauma. The man grew up in an orphanage, abandoned and alone. Nikki is the only constant family he has ever truly chosen and kept. She is his anchor to humanity. And Nikki, coming from her background, reinventing herself from a stripper at the bayou to the most powerful woman in town, needs the absolute security that only Victor Newman can provide. They are two deeply broken people who fit together like jagged puzzle. It is a beautiful, messy, disastrous masterpiece of a relationship, and analyzing it is basically my full-time. I am literally writing a mental dissertation on their codependency as we speak. But at the end of the day, despite the rushed pacing, the glaring plot holes, and the sheer toxicity of it all, I am a Nictor apologist until the day. They are the anchor of this franchise. When they are together, the universe it is a chaotic, messy, deeply flawed kind of right, but it is right nonetheless. They have survived kidnappings, shootings, evil twins, corporate espionage, and literal decades of betrayal. If they want to give this marriage another shot, who am I to judge? I will just be sitting here in my bedroom at 3 a.m. overanalyzing every single glance they share and praying that the writers don't tear them apart again for at least another 6 months. So, squad, I need to know where you stand on this because my brain is completely fried. Are we celebrating this monumental reunion, or are we preparing for the inevitable crash? Drop your thoughts, your wildest theories, and your unfiltered rage in the comments, because I need to know I am not spiraling alone in this digital void. We are in for a incredibly wild ride, besties, and I wouldn't want to experience this chaotic masterpiece of a television show with any until the next episode drops and inevitably ruins my entire life again. Stay hydrated, stay obsessed, and never trust a Newman.
Thank you for watching my video. I will be updating regularly with the latest news, so please remember to subscribe to my channel to support me.